All right, well, welcome in, everybody. So glad you're here. Anybody got anything to share? Laura was just sharing how she started her cleanse and it's not so bad. I know what I wanted to say. Somebody, and I cannot remember who it was asking me on the onboarding call if they could juice the lemon peel as well as the lemon itself. And Dr. Infantino did say yes to that. Someone had a juicer, so they wanted to just throw the whole lemon in there. But what he did say was to scrub it really, really well in case there's any pesticides on it. So I don't, gosh, I can't remember who was asking me that because I wrote it down and I did ask him and then I forgot who said it. So hopefully this is on records. Hopefully the person who asked that watches this recording if they're not already on this call.
I'm glad to hear someone say that the cleanse is not so bad because I haven't done that yet. I was hoping it was not one of those very, very intense ones.
The lemon water is good.
Yeah,
I like it. The maple syrup makes it kind of more like lemonade.
okay.
I didn't think the cleanse was bad either, and I like lemonade, and I thought it tasted like that too.
Good. Glad to hear it.
That's kind of why I wanted her to repeat that on record.
Yeah.
Because it's so scary. I trust and believe I was probably the worst patient of all when it came time for my time. It was like I wanted it because I had my issues too, but I was scared to death of it. And it did get me a little bit mentally, but the physical hunger wasn't there. It was, you feel empty, but you're not starving. You don't want to feel like you're going to eat your left arm. And then the benefits later, my vision was better. My stomach was distended. It went flat. My energy levels were so much better. So
Love it.
hang in there the best you can, because it is worth it. Now, if something does go haywire or wrong, you guys let me know or let Dr. Infantino know. So that's real important. All right. Here we go. Excuse me. I somehow developed a cough this week. All right, so this week I'm talking about gut, liver, and hormones, and the cleanse and the detox, and what all that has to do with weight loss. So let's go ahead. Oops, let's dive right in. I've got some shout outs and some welcomes. We'll talk about the cleanse. We're going to, oops, got to let some people in here, sorry. All right, so we'll talk about the digestive system, how it works, how it gets jacked up. What happens when it's off? Oops, come on now. How to correct it, liver health, that's connected with weight loss and hormones and weight loss, and how this all ties together. All right, so some shout outs. We've got, I believe her name is Crystal. She went through the program. She did really, really well. I remember she'd even gone on vacation and she just stayed the course. It's just food, guys. We don't have to overthink it. And then Michelle, she also did a fabulous, fabulous job. And if you guys do have some before and after pictures, please send them to me. I don't get them very often. People get shy and they don't want to send them, but look at how fabulous, and look at these smiles, like it really does matter. And you inspire, and if you send them to me, I can share them and it inspires other people just to keep on going. Some shout outs I've got. Where did my shout outs go? Barbara, she's steadily losing weight. Her energy is better than it's been in years. So it's not just about weight loss. There's all kinds of other pesky, wonderful, wonderful side effects. But weight loss is great, but her energy is better than it's been in years. Doris, her blood pressure she came in, she started at 155/96. She just kind of wrapped up her 12 weeks. She's now at 128/80. So she naturally lowered her blood pressure. Rebecca's fatty liver, her doctor says she's doing so much better. He doesn't even want to see her again for another 18 months. So this stuff does work. Just hang in there. I know sometimes it can feel restrictive, but just remember, you're doing this for a period of time. You're healing your body, you're healing your gut, your liver, balancing everything out. We're going to go over all of that today. I just want to shout out some welcomes. Welcome to Stephen, Robin, Catherine, Elisa, Melissa, Lori, Joan, Duff, Elizabeth, Leanne, Kathy, Allie, Sylvia, two Lauras, Antonella, and Donna. So I may have already welcomed you in, but if not, welcome, welcome, welcome. So very, very happy that you guys are all here. So first of all, let's talk about, are you toxic? I mean, how do you even know if you're toxic? Number one, we've got brain fog. If you guys want to go ahead and mute yourself, if you have any TVs or dogs or traffic going by or family in the house. But please, 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 if a question comes up, unmute and ask me the question. I will have time at the end for Q&A, but don't be shy. Interrupt me. Ask the questions. All right. So brain fog, that's a common toxicity thing. It's something that, like I said, when I went through the cleanse, we were just talking about that. The brain fog gets lifted, vision gets better. Fatigue, when your liver is full of toxins and it just needs a really good clean out, one of the first things that you're going to notice is that you're feeling really, really tired. One of the first signs of a toxic liver is fatigue. So doing a cleanse can be very helpful for that. There it is, the blurred vision. I know for me, when I do the cleanse, things clear up, colors are more brighter, things just get clearer. They just get clearer. If you have any gas or bloating or constipation, constipation in and of itself can cause being toxic, because if you're not eliminating the toxins, your body ends up reabsorbing. But gas and bloating can also be a sign of either being toxic or that your gut is off track, your liver is off track, your whole digestive system is off track. So these are signs, these are symptoms of something else is wrong. Headaches are very common. Headaches, you guys might notice as you go, especially in the first 2 weeks of starting this program. Some of the healing crisis things that go on is headaches, achy muscles. You kind of feel like you're coming down with a flu. You're just kind of tired, a little bit of brain fog. Your body is going through that detoxification process. So you might notice some of these things kind of pop up, but then after several days or maybe a week, depending on how toxic you are, this stuff all will fade away and improve. Bad or itchy skin. If your skin isn't really vibrant or it can be itchy, itchy skin is a sign of a toxic liver. So that can be a sign of that. So actually people say, well, do we really need to do a cleanse? You know, the body naturally detoxifies itself, doesn't it? Well, it does. It actually does. Every time you exhale, you're detoxifying everything in your lungs that needs to get out of the body. Like if you were to go to a mirror and kind of do like that, make the fog on the mirror, all that fog that comes on that mirror is the toxins in your body. And so we need to let those go. This is why exercise is so good, because it makes you have to breathe more. So you're getting rid of more toxins. Sweating is another way of detoxifying. Obviously going to the bathroom, urination, bowel movements, getting rid of those toxins, all great ways to do that. But sometimes when we get too much, doing an actual cleanse, some of you are on the cleanse now, it can really, really make a big difference. Low quality sleep is also another symptom of being toxic. It can be a sign of many, many different things. A lot of things affect your sleep. Your thyroid affects your sleep. Your adrenaline affects your sleep. Lots of different things that can affect the sleep, but toxicity can also be one of them. So yeah, how did we get toxic? How did we get that way? There's the obvious ones, we know the liver, alcohol can cause problems for the liver. It's not great for the gut either. The alcohol can actually kill some of the good bacteria in the gut. So that's one of the reasons why we ask you to withhold the alcohol. Tylenol, do you know Tylenol is the number one reason why people end up in the hospital with liver toxicity? You would think it might be alcohol, but it's actually Tylenol. And Tylenol is also, I believe it's the number one thing that lands kids in the ER, because they take the kids Tylenol, which tastes like candy, and it's very, very, very toxic for the liver. So the worst thing you could do when you have a hangover is turn around and take a Tylenol. You're doubling up on hurting your liver a little bit more so. Now, again, this is why we want you guys to go organic, especially in these first 12 weeks. We're trying to clean, we're trying to clear the body. And so the least amount of pesticides, the better. It's another reason why we have you off of coffee. Even the organic coffees are too highly pesticided. Coffee is probably the thing that we consume as humans has the most pesticides of anything that we consume is coffee. Coffee is also very, very acidic for the gut. So that is why even decaf is not on the menu for these first 12 weeks. But these pesticides, they're just all over our fruits and vegetables. They're just on a lot of the wheats and the things that grow. And we're taking them in every single day, and they start to add up. Heavy metals, you hear about the tuna, it has high mercury content. So heavy metals get stuck in the body. Another reason that we want to do these cleanses. Cilantro happens to be one of those herbs that helps get rid of heavy metals in the body. High fructose corn syrup and sugars are another toxin for the body. I've done a whole week's talk on just the dangers of sugar by itself. It is bad for your heart. It is bad for your cardiovascular system. It is really, really, really bad for your liver. This is how we get fatty liver, is through sugars and high fructose corn syrup, especially these processed sugars. It is bad for the kidneys. It is bad for your circulation. It is bad for your vision. It is bad for your weight management. It is diabetes inducing. Sugar really is the enemy. It is a toxin. Doesn't mean we can't have something sweet. We can. It just can't be sweetened with actual sugar or the high fructose corn syrup. And there's a million different names for sugars. And I'm sure I'll be having sugar as a topic coming up pretty soon, and I'll go over all the names of the sugars, and they're all toxic, most of them. Personal care products. I'm sure you've heard of, how much aluminum is in deodorant. And while, yes, is it harmful? No. But if you're putting it on your body every single day for 60, 70, 80, 90 years, you don't think that's going to add up and start to build up in your body? And when these toxins come in there, aluminum is connected to Alzheimer's disease and dementia. So, and personal care products, I'm talking about lotions, not just deodorant, skincare products. It's so many personal care products, and there's a lot of toxins in there. Actually, this is it's not off topic. There is an app, and I just got it, and it's kind of interesting, and it's kind of frustrating because you realize how toxic half the stuff in my house is. But there's an app called Yucca, and it's got a carrot on it. And there's two. There's one for food, and there's one for like household products, like lotions and stuff like that. And it's Yucca, Yuka. And then if you use that and you can show it the barcode, it'll give it a score, and it'll tell you why that thing is toxic. So, and it was free. So why not check and see? Because, you know, I'm on a budget, so I don't always get the most expensive stuff, but man, I'm learning now. It might be worth spending a couple extra bucks here and there because a lot of that stuff I'm getting, they got the cheap junk in it, which is toxic for the body. Also, guess what? If we're alive, we're getting toxic. If we're breathing, you know, I just got an alert today. The air quality alert is still bad for another day. I'm here in Phoenix. I grew up in the LA area, which, you know, it was so amazing during COVID to watch what LA normally looked like. And then when everybody stayed home at COVID, how it didn't look like one big giant gray cloud. That was very enlightening. That was very enlightening. But just breathing, there's the whole, this is probably a taboo topic, but you know, they talk about the chemtrails and the stuff that they're spraying in the air for different reasons.
Yep.
But just breathing the air can give us toxins, just, you know, just the exhaust from the cars on the streets. So we really have to be mindful of all this stuff, which is why doing a cleanse is so very important. All right, so let's talk about the digestive system. First I'm going to go over how it should work, Now, you know, and kind of getting ready for this talk today, did I hit record?
It said you did.
Okay, perfect. I always panic. I get in this because I can't see when I'm on full screen. I just go, oh my God, I forgot to hit the record. All right. So in preparing for this talk today, I was, you know, looking at the digestive system and just reminding myself of the different phases of it. And it all, every one of them said, it starts in the mouth, it starts in the mouth, it starts in the mouth, you know, but I would say it does not start in the mouth. It starts in my mind. If I'm thinking about certain foods, I can start to salivate. If I see certain foods, I can start to salivate. If I smell certain foods, you know, that process begins before that food even touches those lips. So it does get started. We start to salivate. But anyway, so we get it into the mouth. We chew, and then the salivary glands excrete certain digestive enzymes, primarily the ones that break down carbohydrates. The amylase is usually the ones that come in the salivary glands, but this is where the breakdown of food actually starts. You're chewing, and then the breakdown with your enzymes. And then we swallow, goes down into the stomach. The stomach is a very strong muscular sac, and it literally will squish the food. And also in the stomach, you've got hydrochloric acid, and you've got other enzymes that are being released to also further break down the food. There's a sphincter that gets closed between the esophagus and the stomach so that the food does not go back up. And then there's another one that goes into the small intestines. So the stomach does its job if everything's going the way it's supposed to go. So it's squeezing, it's beating up the food. The food turns into a liquid or a paste. And then it goes into, there's 3 parts to the small intestines, which, by the way, the intestines are about 20 feet long. Just the small intestines. That's not even the large intestines. About 20 to 22 feet long, if you were to straighten it out. But this is where the digestion begins, where you start to absorb the vitamins. This is where it continues to break down. More of the bile gets released from the liver. The liver is what makes the bile, which breaks down the fats. There's other enzymes that are released. The absorption starts here, and it continues to go through these small intestines. And then in the colon is where it ends up just, there's still a little bit more of absorption happening here, but now it's going into the blood system, and then we go through, and we have those nerve endings in the bottom here, and that's what tells us, hey, there's something in the rectum, it needs to let go. the nerve enzymes will also tell us what it is, if it's gas, if it's liquid, or if it's solid. So we'll kind of know what's going on, if it should release it or not. But we have usually, hopefully, control of that. The pancreas, its job is to release insulin, which helps deliver the blood sugars, the sugars in the blood to the cells. So that's how the digestive system should work. Unfortunately, sometimes our system gets jacked up. We swallow the food, it goes down into the stomach. The stomach may not break down the food as it's supposed to. So they're still in big chunks. The food tries to go, food knows it's got to leave. It knows it's supposed to go. Like it says, I got to go. So it tries to get back up into the esophagus. This is the heartburn that we may experience, but there's that sphincter. So hopefully the sphincter can keep most of it out. The food ends up going, all right, well, I got to go. So it goes into small intestines. But because the food is still in chunks and it's not in the paste or the liquid that it's supposed to be, the pancreas, where did my little, oh, no, go back. The pancreas thinks that we have more food. It's not more food, it's just not digested as well as it should be by the time it gets to the small intestine. So the pancreas pumps and pumps and pumps and pumps and pumps more of the insulin. Well, guess what? Insulin is your fat storage hormone. And if we're trying to diet and exercise, but your pancreas is pumping, you can't fight that. We're going to stay in fat storage mode, which is why some of us have such a hard time losing the weight. Plus, if we're toxic, our receptors are blocked. We can't absorb the vitamins, so we're not going to get the nourishment. We're not going to feel the energy. So we feel slumped, we feel crummy, we feel tired, we feel fatigued. So this is basically how, the system works. Also in the small intestines, if we don't have the right microbiome, those good probiotics, this is what helps us digest the food. This is what gives us a good, solid immune system. This is what where we produce our vitamin B's vitamins. And again, those are your energy vitamins. So again, if the gut is off, we're going to have low energy. Another thing with the gut that most people don't know is the gut has everything to do with not just your immune system, but they say the gut is the other brain. So think about that. If you get some information, something scary or seriously sad, you feel it in your gut. Or, what they say, there's a gut feeling. Well, sometimes if the gut is out of whack, they're connected. So sometimes we feel anxious or anxiety or even a depression. You clear up the gut, you can oftentimes clear up the anxiety or the depression. So I don't know what came first, the chicken or the egg, or the depression and anxiety, or the off gut. But if we get the off gut corrected, we're probably going to correct the anxiety as well. So that's why doing this program, there's just so many reasons and things. Like I was telling in the shout outs, it's not just about weight loss. It's about feeling better. It's about sleeping better. It's about having more energy. All right, I don't have that much time, so I'm going to keep on going. Where am I at? Yeah, it's already 12:26. All right. So gut bacteria is extremely important for that gut health. So I wanted to kind of dive into that. And what decreases it? What ruins it? What takes it out? Like I said, sugar. The reason sugar is the first on the list is because sugar is what feeds the bad bacteria. And you got the good and the bad. We cannot be alive in this planet without that bacteria in the gut. And there's trillions. There's more bacteria in the gut than there are people on the planet. There's trillions of cells in that gut. But if we're feeding the bad stuff, they take over the good guys. You've got a war, you've got the good guys and the bad guys. But if the bad guys keep getting fed, the bad guys are going to take over. And that's when the gut goes wonky and we get all those side symptoms of bloating and gas and indigestion and constipation, all that stuff. So we got to knock off that sugar. What have I said? Sugar is the enemy. Snacking a lot, if you're snacking on junk food, processed foods, those processed foods really also do feed the bad bacteria in the gut. Antibiotics, I tend to be prone to UTI, so I end up having to take them, which sucks because you almost can't get rid of the UTI without it. But now I got to do a whole new cleanse again.
Mhm.
So if you've had antibiotics in the last 5 years, your gut may be off balance. And certainly because the antibiotics just kill bacteria. It doesn't know or care if it's the good guys or the bad guys. So after a antibiotic round, you definitely want to bump up your probiotics for sure. Alcohol can also kill the bacteria in the gut. So you really want to limit that for that reason. It's not just about the liver, it's also about the gut. And then genetically modified foods and pesticides. These all can affect the health of the gut. Ooh, and this is a big one too. Artificial sweeteners really hurt the bad bacteria in the gut. Aspartame, which is equal or the blue packets. Sucralose, which is the Splenda or the yellow packets. Those two really are toxic and terrible for the gut. Terrible, 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 terrible. Who was that? Charles Barclay. Terrible, terrible, terrible. Terrible, terrible, terrible. I don't know. I'm imitating somebody. I have no idea.
I think you're right. I think it was Charles.
Yes, it
It's
was.
just in my head. I don't know where I got it.
Except you said terrible, terrible,
Terrible, terrible.
terrible, terrible.
And also stress. And like I said, sometimes we're stressing because the gut is bad. And sometimes the gut is bad because we've been stressing. So managing your stress. I'm going to talk about that shortly in a minute. So how do we improve or increase the good bacteria in the gut? How do we make for a healthier gut? Well, we feed the good guys. We feed it a good high fiber diet. Look at all these wonderful veggies up here in this picture. So all the colors, get the colors. But these are the good high fiber foods. You want a variety of veggies. You want a variety of vegetables. If for overall health, for anti-aging, if nothing else, get all the colors. Go purple cabbage, red bell peppers, dark green leafies, yellow squashes, orange fruits and vegetables. All of this stuff really does feed the good bacteria in the gut. Fasting can also help. Sometimes we build up a sludge in the gut, but when we fast, the body has to go after the sick and dead cells, which helps push out the bad stuff, helps push out that gunk. That's why these cleanses are also very helpful. I know some of you are on the cleanse right now, so when you're feeling like quitting, just think of it. It's eating up all the yucky stuff in my gut. Fermented foods, things like kimchi, a kombucha, those are all very, very good for the gut. Obviously, having your probiotics. Weight loss, they say, can really help with gut health, just in general. Weight loss in general can lower your risk of like so many cancers, diabetes, heart disease, so many of your major killers, basically. Your major killers that are preventable have to do with just trying to get into a healthier weight. All right, so let's talk about the autonomic nervous system. And what does that have to do with the gut and the health and the weight loss and just overall health in general? So autonomic, it sounds like automatic, and it should, because it is. And these are both very important for survival, for absolute survival. We need both of these systems. We've got two systems. We've got the fight or flight, and then we've got the rest or digest. So what is the sympathetic nervous system? This is when, you got a bear chasing you and his mouth is wide open just like that. And he's looking right at you. What's going to happen? Your sympathetic nervous system is going to kick into gear. So what happens? Or you step into the street. Now, most of us are probably not at risk for a bear, But if you pull in front of and you look up and there's a truck coming at you, or you're getting ready to cross the street and there's a bus coming at you, we need that sympathetic and we need it right now. So what happens? The heart rate increases, your blood pressure increases, you're getting ready for fight or flight. Your breathing increases to prepare your body to run or fight. Your pupil sizes gets bigger so you can see everything you absolutely need to see to prepare yourself to fight or run. The digestive system and the immune system slows down. So right now, this bear's coming at you. It doesn't care that there's a little COVID virus running around in your body. Your immune system is not going to worry about that right now. It is not the most dangerous thing. That big giant black bear or brown bear is far more dangerous. So your immune system literally slows down. We wonder why we're sick and tired if our sympathetic system is on all the time. Your digestive system slows down. If a bear's coming at you, do you think you have to go to the bathroom? Not in a million. Like, that is the last thing on your system. Like, you do, that is just not a thing right now. You need to find a way to get the hell away from that bear or that big yellow bus or that giant Mack truck. It's important because that is actual survival right now. The glucose production in the body so that you have the energy to fight if you have to fight that bear. The liver activates the energy stores. But see, the glucose is what sparks that insulin. That insulin is what tells the body to store fat. So if we're in this constant state of sympathetic nervous system, it's really hard to lose weight because we're in that fate of fat storage. But it's very important. We have to have this for survival. Once I get off of that street and the bus is no longer a threat to me, I should hopefully go back to rest and digest. What should happen, my heart rate should go down. My blood pressure should go down. My pupils go down back to normal so I don't get too much light inside my head. Things are going back to normal. My digestion starts to happen. The peristalsis happens. Like, peristalsis stops in sympathetic. It begins again once I get to rest and digest. My immune system can now go back to what it needs to do and fight off the COVID germ that entered my body yesterday or whatever. But because now that is the most current threat. The bear or the truck or the bus is gone. Now I might realize I have to go to the bathroom, which is important because I need to get rid of those toxins. A minute ago with the bear, I didn't care. Now I care. Oops, I guess that was it. So any questions on that? This is just really important. We need the problem is we're in sympathetic a lot. We've got jobs, we've got deadlines, we've got bills. We've got an increased economy with everything costs more, aging parents, kids still live with this. There's just a lot of stress or things that are making all these sympathetic symptoms happen. So it's very important that we practice relaxation, practicing breath work, practicing meditation, listening to music that brings you joy, that brings you peace. Practicing your stretching so you're physically releasing stress from your physical body. Doing that with some nice peaceful music is a great way to bring your body back to rest and digest and get yourself away from fight or flight. All right, so let's go into the liver. All right, so what are some symptoms of a toxic liver? As I mentioned, fatigue is probably the number one thing that people notice when their liver is off. And I tell you guys, I can't even stress it enough. We were just talking about that at the beginning of this call. When I did the cleanse, the lemon mixture, now that lemonade, the lemon juice in it of itself is really, 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 really good for cleaning up your liver. And I can't even explain the difference from A to B, from how I was so tired and how my energy levels just soared, absolutely soared, going through the cleanse. So I know it's challenging for a lot, but hang in there, guys. It's really, really worth it. Trouble losing weight. The liver has a lot of jobs in the body. It, makes the bile to break down your fats. It's a body's filter. It helps you filter your body, but it also helps metabolize fat. So if the liver is toxic, it makes it a lot harder to lose weight. So by going through the cleanse, going through this program, taking the supplements that are cleaning up the liver, eating the foods that are cleaning up the liver, avoiding the foods that are clogging up the liver, like the sugar, it will really help make losing weight a whole lot easier. Gas and bloating can also be a symptom. I mean, gas and bloating can be a symptom of a lot of things. It could be your digestive tract is bad, but it can also be a sign of a toxic liver. Brain fog, man, that was another thing too, just clearer thoughts. Being able to recall words, you just can't spit it out sometimes, and then you clean up your liver and your body, and it's like you're able to say the words. It's kind of cool. Retention of water is a symptom. Itching and other skin issues. I mentioned that a little earlier, but that's kind of specific to the liver. Also, I don't know if I have it on here. Oh, dark urine. If your urine is dark, it means you're not hydrating, and that it's possible that your liver is not clean enough. Also, toxic liver can affect your attitude and can cause anger. Anger is a symptom of a toxic liver. I don't think I have that on here, but it is. All right, so how do we correct all that? Consuming cleansing foods. Your cleansing foods are primarily your dark green, anything high in chlorophyll. Chlorophyll is the green pigment in like kale and spinach and green leafies, but just a lot of vegetables with the fibers, very cleansing for the body. Drinking your water. I know I get that complaint a lot. I can't drink a gallon of water. And it's the recommended amount of water is half your body weight in ounces up to a gallon. So, for someone over 300 pounds, I don't want you to be drinking 150 ounces of water. It's up to a gallon, which is 128 ounces. But flushing your liver with lots of water, that reminds me. Note to self. Here we go again, eliminating the sugars. The sugars clog the liver. When we eat sugars, they get stored in the muscle, some goes into the blood, and then the rest gets stored in the liver and for future use. But if it doesn't get used, it turns into triglycerides, which now creates a fatty liver. That is the first step to head towards cirrhosis, by the way. Fatty liver is reversible, cirrhosis is not. Cirrhosis is scar tissue and cannot be corrected. Fatty liver can be corrected, but you got to correct it when it's just fatty liver. You can't wait. Fatty foods, like deep fried foods with those terrible, terrible, bad oils, soybean oil, canola oil, vegetable oil, seed oils, peanut oils, processed foods, donuts, things of that nature, anything that's fried or highly processed. It's so bad and hard on the liver. And again, your liver is what helps you metabolize fat. There's a lot of supplements out there that will help clean up the liver. I don't even remember if I have a slide on that or not, but oh, and limiting Tylenol. I'll talk about supplements in a minute, but I think, okay, and of course, limiting alcohol. That's a given. I don't think that's a surprise. Okay, so here we go. Top cleansing foods, cruciferous vegetables. Those are your broccoli, your cauliflower, kale, Brussels sprouts. Those are cruciferous foods. Those are very cleansing for the body. Cruciferous is your anti-aging. anti-cancer, high in fiber that's going to feed you the good bacteria in the gut. Very, very good for the body. Dark green leafy, as I mentioned, your green, anything high in chlorophyll. Citrus fruits, like your grapefruits and your lemons. This is why lemon juice is used for the cleanse. It really, if you want to start your day every day with a glass of water with a squeeze of lemon in it, it's a great way to kickstart your liver's detoxification process. It really gets it going. Asparagus has some compounds in it that's very, very cleansing for the body. Onions, believe it or not, the onions actually absorb toxins. Funny little story. I had read that onions, somebody had put onions on their feet. This is going to sound weird, but hear me out. She had put onions on her feet and then put socks on. She had a cold or a flu. She was sick with something. And she put the onions on her feet, put the socks on to keep the onions to stick with her feet. She slept with them. She said in the morning she felt so much better. She said, other than smelling like a casserole, her sickness was gone. So one day I got stung by a bee. I was out by the pool and I got stung by the bee and my hand completely swelled up. And I went into a vitamin store, the one I actually ended up purchasing. It was right around the corner from my house. It ended up being my vitamin store, but at the time it wasn't. I went in and there was some stuff that they sold there, but it was about $30. And I was so mad. Like, I don't want the bee. That bee is not going to make me pay $30. So I thought, why don't I try the trick? I've heard that onions do absorb toxins. So I cut up some onion, put it on my hand and put a plastic glove on my hand. I only kept it there for 45 minutes because I did have to get in the shower to get ready to go to work. After 45 minutes, I could move my hand again. It was about 90% gone. So the onions literally absorb toxins. So keep that in mind. And if you go to a picnic and you see like where they have hot dogs or hamburgers, somebody has the pickles and the tomatoes and the onions sitting out, the onions should be covered because they're also absorbing toxins in the air. So I wouldn't eat those onions unless they're being protected and covered on some level or some degree. But I'm telling you, those onions really do absorb the toxins. Blueberries, super antioxidant, super cleansing for the body. This dark purple skin is great for your heart health. Lots of good benefits to the blueberries. Walnuts are also in that list. Olive oil, very, very good for the liver. Beets, especially beetroot juice, that is very cleansing for the liver. In fact, if you throw a raw beet if you're making a vegetable smoothie, be careful with putting too much, because if you're doing 2 or 3 beets, it's probably too much. You'll probably end up getting nauseous because you'll detoxify too fast. So start with a half a beet or part of a beet. Don't do a whole one because it's that powerful. If you're putting that in your thing. Also, artichoke, it's great for the liver. Great for the liver. Some of these things are what you might find in some supplements. Before I go into that, the hormones, I do want to talk about some herbs that are good for the liver, and that I'm gonna have to go by memory because I don't have my, so milk thistle is something that can help boost the glutathione in the body, which is body's natural liver detoxifier and anti-aging. So milk thistle, and another name for milk thistle is silymarin. NAC also, well, that's the easy way to say it, but it's N-acetylcholine, but that's a good way to boost the glutathione in the body. Also, as I mentioned, cilantro helps rid the body of heavy metals. Turmeric is a great glutathione booster. Dandelion root, chicory root, yellow dock root, peppermint, rosemary, all these things are good ways to cleanse that liver. And I was going through the list of ingredients with our supplements, and those items are in a lot of our supplements. So this is why people feel so much more energy. This is why people's gut gets healed with these products, because there's a lot of this good stuff is in there, pulling these toxins from the body. All right, so let's get into some hormones here. Insulin. Now, when I talk about fat burning foods, I've done that. I just did that topic several weeks ago. And I talked about it a little bit earlier today in the digestive process. The pancreas, its main job is to make that insulin so that when we eat something that has sugar in it, like a fruit or rice or other carbohydrates, or breads or things of that nature, the pancreas will secrete the insulin so that the sugars can get into the cells where they need to go. If they don't get into the cells, they run rampant in the body and they cause problems. They cause heart disease, they cause vision problems, they cause kidney disease, they cause circulation problems, just lots of problems. So we need those blood cells or we need those blood sugars into the cells. And the only way to get into the cell is with the insulin. However, if we're eating a lot of sugars, the insulin levels are just pump, 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 pump. That's your fat storage hormone. So the best way to manage this is watching your sugars, having lower glycemic carbohydrates, like brown rice versus white sticky rice. Sticky rice is in the 90s. Brown rice is like 50. You want anything under 55. So anything that's going to be on the low glycemic zone is going to help regulate those insulin levels. What else I was going to say about that? But just regulating your, and ways to also regulate your insulin levels is if you're having carbs, have them last. You want to start your meals with your good healthy fibers to kind of coat. And then you have your fats and your proteins to kind of coat. That way, when you have some brown rice or you have a yams, the blood sugars don't spike as quickly. Your insulin doesn't spike as quickly. And so you'll have a little bit less to deal with. So we don't go into fat storage and stay there. All right, cortisol, that's the sympathetic nervous system. That's what and cortisol, we need that because it gets our butts off that street, or it gets us out of the way of that big black bear. But cortisol is also the stress hormone that cause belly fat in particular. So managing your stress, practicing your ways to get back into that parasympathetic system, meditation, breath work, good music, stretching, practicing your gratitudes. These are all ways to bring your stress levels down, bring your cortisol levels down. Really, really important. Ghrelin and leptin, I'm putting those two together. Ghrelin is the hormone that tells your body you're hungry, and leptin is what tells your body you're full. And leptin is made in the fat cells, ghrelin is made in the stomach. And so some of the things that can throw those two off, number one is sleep. If you're not getting enough sleep, think about it. One night of bad sleep, you wake up, and I've seen the study, so I know it's not just me. I want to eat bread. I want to eat comfort food. I want to feel better. I actually feel hungrier, and I kind of don't know when to stop. I feel more ravenous if I get a terrible night's sleep. So getting proper sleep is very helpful. Let's see. Leptin resistance can cause overeating. It can cause increased insulins. It can increase triglycerides. It can increase toxins. Yo-yo dieting can screw that up. Reduce sun exposure. They say vitamin D helps regulate your ghrelin and your leptin. So if you don't have any sun exposure, if you don't take any vitamin D, ways to improve those two things: increase your omega-3s. which is your fatty fish, decrease your omega-6s, which is a lot of beans. So it's in some nuts. It's in a lot of those soybean oils, a lot of those bad oils. Increasing protein can help regulate your ghrelin and your leptin. And reducing sugar can help improve your leptin and your ghrelin. Estrogen. So a lot of times when people join this program and they go on the cleanse and they're really starting to lose some body fat, I hear some of the women say, yeah, I started spotting and I haven't had a period for a while, or it does, or hot flashes come back. There are certain things. Well, estrogen is stored in our fat cells. So as our fat cells go down, and some of the estrogen gets released because we're losing weight, sometimes these symptoms tend to happen. This is why we gain weight when we go through menopause, because the body knows that the estrogen is stored in the fat cells. So it just tries to create more fat cells to try to create more estrogen. It's not the answer, but it's just kind of how that works and what that does. Soy products can also affect your estrogen levels. It's a hormone disruptor. And in fact, I used to sell soy supplements in my store. I bought my vitamin store. It was previously owned by another couple. So I learned a lot from them. And they said they had some regulars that bought the soy products. But they recommended when people come in, if it was a woman who had had any family history of uterine or ovarian or breast kinds of cancers, not to give them the soy product for their menopause symptom, recommend something else. Some women it found it really, really, really did help them because it did disrupt their hormones and made things right for them. But you've got to be very mindful staying away from soy products if you have any kind of history of any female kinds of cancers, family or otherwise. Artificial sweeteners can jack those up as well. So that can really mess with the estrogens as well. All right, so that's kind of my little talk for today. Let's recap. We want to detox your mind and your body. When you detox your body, it does bring about a clear, it lifts that brain fog. So, and detoxifying your mind, you can certainly put the good stuff in. Showing up to these weekly group calls, that's putting the good stuff in your mind. Keeping your healthy gut, we talked about that, about different great ways to do that. Your fermented foods and your good healthy fibers, staying away from alcohol, taking your probiotics, keeping the liver clean, lots of water, keeping your hormones balanced, all of that good stuff. Does anybody have any questions?
I have one quick question. When you were talking about beets, are we talking fresh beets or are pickled beets still good, or what's the?
They can still be good, but what I was reading, as far as cleaning the liver, I think it was specifically to beetroot juice. But beets are a very good and healthy thing to consume. Now I put it in the carbohydrate category.
Right.
So you want to stay in portion control on that. But beets are good. They can be good for the liver, but it's also, it releases the nitric oxide. So it's a vasodilator, and it opens up those veins and arteries, so it can help lower blood pressure.
Okay.
And or it's great as a pre-workout. So it, again, opens up the veins and arteries. So whether it's making your blood pressure better or easier to get that blood to those muscles for your workout, it's good for that as well.
Okay, thank you.
Oh, you're welcome.
Yeah.
Good question. I love the questions.
They spark the brain. I'll share one thing very, very briefly in our For What It's Worth department. When you talk about going from the sympathetic and getting back into parasympathetic, one thing that I learned in a class a long time ago is the fastest way to get back into parasympathetic is to breathe with your stomach. Because most of us, we breathe with our chests, mostly, especially as women, because we don't want to stick our tummies out. But if you think of babies, they breathe with their tummies. And if we go back to tummy breathing, it very quickly puts you back in parasympathetic.
That makes absolute perfect sense. And especially because you're right, we've become chest breathers. And if
Right.
you're focusing on your breath, you have to think about pull the belly out, basically pulling the diaphragm down to make
Right.
room in those lungs, which draws the oxygen in.
Right.
But by focusing on your breath, you're focusing on the right here and right now. You're not
Yes.
focusing on the coulda, shoulda, woulda, or what's going to be next week, or worried about the future, or all that stuff.
Yeah.
So that makes perfect sense. That's why yoga is so helpful. It's not just for your muscles, but the breath work that you do in yoga, it makes you
Right.
present.
Right.
Being
Right.
present, doing box breathing or
Right.
other breath work exercises.
Right.
But yeah, focusing on diaphragmatic breath
Right.
makes
Makes
perfect sense. Makes
Yeah.
perfect
And
sense.
the way I was taught it, if you just lay on the floor and take a water bottle and just lay it sideways on your tummy and just practice making the water bottle go up and down. So you're breathing with your tummy. And again, it gets you focused on all the right things and
I
off your
think I was told the same thing, only a book. So the book will roll off, but you can see the book kind
Right.
of coming up and down.
Right. Right. Exactly.
Yeah. So by the way, for anybody new or doesn't know, if you want to make an appointment with me, if you want to find the manual, if you want to find the journal pages, if the weekly check-in sheet, it's in this website right here. You can also do the online journal in here, coachtami.drinfantino.com. There's no dot. Oops. There's no dot in the between Dr. and Infantino. So,
Perfect.
all right. Awesome.
All right,
All right.
good, thank you.
Well, thank you guys for being here. I really, really, really appreciate all of you showing up. I appreciate your input and your sharing and all of that. I really, really do appreciate that. So does anybody have anything else they want to share that's maybe not related to gut before I bid adieu? All right.